Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer. Tonight we have a guest who just might possibly be a whistleblower. It's my job to find out.
Can I say my name?
I wouldn't advise that.
I was working at this company.
Well, not that company.
This company.
As long as it wasn't that company.
Which one?
Not that one.
Not that one.
Right, not that one.
I'm sorry. I don't know which one that one is.
Yeah, I don't want to make this more confusing than it already is.
I noticed a discrepancy in the books.
Which books?
The main books.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Huh?
What kind of books are you talking about?
You know, the books.
Not those!
Yes,
ones?
those
No!
ones.
No, those kind!
Not these kind, see?
I'm sorry, we can't risk any more obscenity charges. Why are you showing me an old pornographic magazine?
For your show sponsor.
He's in that magazine?
He takes up 2 pages. Not him. He wasn't that big then. I mean, it's big.
You don't look old enough to have bought that filthy crap when it was hot on the newsstand.
It's still hot.
Put those books away!
That's what my employer said.
But they were referring to a different kind of books.
Have you heard, for instance, the term books in accounting?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, just obscene literature that isn't suitable for minors, like The Catcher in the Rye, banned from most schools before my time. The greatest novel I ever read in 8th grade. My mother thought that my father wrote the book report.
I'm an accountant.
Really? I thought you were in the gambling business.
What made you think that?
Well, all the talk about the books, I thought you were a bookie.
I have a very serious legal problem, and I feel like you're making jokes out of it.
Excuse me, there's something that I have to say. This program has been made possible through a generous grant from the Helms Foundation's $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
That's why I bought in the old porno mag.
Luckily, Remus Helms isn't here tonight.
Oh, can you give it to him next time you see him?
I don't transport porno magazines from one end of the office to the next.
Well, then I'll just leave it here in your office out by reception, and next time he comes, he'll pick it up.
I don't want it there.
Oh, come on. You don't have clients in here during the virus. Nobody will see this magazine on the table in your reception area.
Well, if you insist on leaving this here, I guess I could put it in an envelope after it's quarantined for 72 hours, lock it up in an empty office, and give it to Remus Helms.
Maybe I should have moved it with gloves.
Well, has this been in your possession for 72 hours?
I've been enjoying it for a week now.
Anyway,
I left a Post-it pad in the place where Remus Helms...
Don't take that! What are all these water stains?
I'm not sure. I got it on eBay.
Hey, excuse me, I'm gonna wash my gloves.
You're just gonna leave that magazine in front of me?
Well, you don't have to open it.
I'd like to.
Okay, I'm back.
So, I got fired from my job.
Well, you and 4 million other people due to COVID.
No, I'm quite sure I was wrongfully terminated.
Well, that's what they all say.
I know I was.
Do you even know what wrongful termination is?
It's like when an employee complains about something illegal, sometimes just to their boss, and then they get fired.
Well, that is a working definition I guess I can live with.
But can you live with this magazine on your desk? Open it to the middle centerfold. That spread shows Remus Helms.
Oh my God! I was looking at you, and now I see that!
Can we continue on about my case?
Well, get that thing out of here!
Well, it's attached to him. I can't.
Oh, I mean the whole magazine.
If I take it with me, Remus Helms won't get it.
Well, I'll give him your address and you could mail it.
I'm kinda afraid the pages might fall apart. It looks like there's already been a lot of use.
Use?
Well, I think that's what they call it.
We need to take a break.
For commercials?
No, just to retool.
Oh, yeah, that's another word for it.
Your job, miss!
That's why I came in here in the first place.
Well, not to drop off a soiled porno magazine?
Oh, that was a gift.
I'd hate to know what you give out on Halloween.
That's personal.
Anyway, you said you got fired.
I noticed an extraordinary write-off.
Are you involved in income taxes?
I do auditing work.
Not in the Scientology sense, right?
I have an expired CPA license.
Should you be doing auditing?
I look for initial indiscretions.
Do those include taking mid to high risk experimental COVID treatment for alleged mild COVID cases?
Well, that's a good analogy.
Do you also get involved in the type of indiscretion surrounding possessing a 35-year-old pornographic magazine featuring Remus Helms doing a stand on a body organ that is neither his arms, legs, nor his head?
Oh, that is his head. A head?
I guess I ran right into that one.
You have? Up close and personal?
Of course not!
Okay, look. This return had an expense of over $70,000. That just didn't make any sense.
What was the expense for?
Well, that didn't bother me so much. A lot of TV people write off their hairdos.
Somebody was deducting the cost of the haircut?
First of all, I am not sure you can call it a haircut. Is it even real hair?
What do you mean?
The guy's hair is, I don't know how it could be real hair.
So the issue that you took with your employer was a write-off of over $70,000 for a haircut?
It didn't say it was just for one haircut, but how many haircuts could you get in a year for $70,000? But again, that's not the issue. I've seen this thing's hair.
Is it hair?
If I said who the hairdresser is, you'd know.
Oh, yeah, let's keep names out of this.
You spent a lot of time chasing after this guy.
Was this somebody I couldn't serve on a case?
No, he's even been on the show.
I can't think of who this might be.
It's because most of the work he does is not with real hair.
Not real hair?
Right. He says it's nylon, but it's something else. I know you've seen those commercials. I just remembered. Oh, it is nylon, but they advertise it as ever-growing berber, and he's got a free pass from the president on those deceptive ads.
Oh, you're talking about Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M?
Yes, he's the guy.
Oh, what does he have to do with this wrongful termination case of yours?
That's what was being written off.
Somebody is deducting ever-growing berber toupees that are actually nylon from their income tax returns.
No.
They're deducting trims on ever-growing berber merkins that are actually nylon?
No.
Hell, they couldn't be deducting the cost of ever-growing berber face masks that are actually nylon. Those came out, just this year. It wouldn't be a return yet.
No, not that. The line item in Schedule C said it was for hairstyling.
does this particular taxpayer have hair?
That's the thing. He's not a taxpayer.
Was it his income tax return?
I've never seen an income tax return so retarded. I swear, whoever came up with those deductions is insane.
Well, but if he has actual hair, maybe he did go to a hairdresser.
Well, there's no way anybody would pay that much. Not anything for hair that looks like that.
What does his hair look like?
Sometimes it's got these wings.
Wings?
And the color. Whew.
Oh, this is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're talking to a woman who is a whistleblower. I don't know what else is happening here, but if you're a real whistleblower, call me during the week at 877-525-0700. If you have a case for unpaid wages, 877-525-0700. 877-525-0700 for a real workplace lawyer. And tune in every week on this show and also listen on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube. We'll be back in just 1 second on Talk Radio 790 KBC.
The Employment Lawyers Group has successfully represented employees in wrongful termination, sexual harassment, employment discrimination, and unpaid wage lawsuits, including class actions. They are only paid when and if money is collected from the employer. Call 877-525-0700 during the week for an experienced job lawyer. 877-525-0700.
Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm a real good lawyer, and we've got a lady in the studio who is a whistleblower and has been complaining about a strange deduction on income tax returns. So, miss, I don't want anyone to know your name. Is it ethical for you to be auditing the income tax returns of somebody that you know? It sounds like you know this person.
Oh, no. I don't know him.
Well, how do you know so much about this tax return?
I am telling you, he isn't a taxpayer. People earning minimum wage pay more federal tax than this idiot.
Oh, the taxpayer is an idiot?
Mr. Gerber, I think he's probably the stupidest person in America.
Gosh, that's really harsh.
Well, if you kept up on the news, I'm sure you'd agree.
Well, just because he has a bad hairdo or hair that looks like, fake?
The reason why I don't think it's an ever-growing berber toupee that is actually nylon is... Actually, maybe it is. No, it takes a lot of water to wash.
Well, I guess if an ever-growing berber toupee that's actually nylon has been growing and not being tampoumed every hour, it could take a lot of water to wash.
I think it might just be bad hair.
Why is that?
Have you seen it?
Well, I can't say I have. You haven't disclosed who you're talking about.
Any hair that takes more than 2.5 gallons of water per minute to wash in order to be absolutely perfect, the best it can be, and it still looks like he's stuck his finger in an electric socket. And the color, it's like dried out mustard. No, that can't be man-made. I mean, it is man-made.
Well, yeah, in other words, nobody is born with hair that bad.
Nobody is born with hair that bad.
Yet, this taxpayer spends more than $70,000 a year on a hairdresser?
Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M to be exact.
This matter may warrant more investigating.
I don't care why this is happening. It's his money, his to waste, but I don't think he should spend it.
Why is that?
I think it's a phony tax deduction.
Why?
Because because nobody in their right mind would spend over $70,000 a year to have hair that looks like that.
Well, but you said this guy is really stupid.
And he might not be in his right mind.
Why is that?
Well, for instance, he took a drug that is known to cause hallucinations for at least 2 weeks.
LSD?
No, it's some experimental COVID thing.
He had COVID?
Did he ever?
I wonder if Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M has come down with COVID. He's one of those!
Oh, that's gross.
What's gross? Not wearing a mask?
Yes, that's nasty.
Did you raise the issue of this $70,000 expense to your employer and they got mad?
My boss happens to be very red. I said as long as he refused to wear a mask at work, I wasn't coming in anymore.
What happened?
He fired me.
That actually might be wrongful termination.
He was going to all those fundraisers where they sit around acting all rosy and infecting each other. Ugh.
Gross.
It was. He got all his friends sick after I got fired.
Well, maybe you got fired for refusing to come to work if your boss wouldn't mask up.
But the $70,000.
That is a lot of money to pay Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M. But if the non-taxpayer's hair was really that bad, maybe it needed a lot of work. Those haircuts cost more, I understand.
Or that guy was drying out his hair with so much water.
I'm not an expert on hair.
You should be.
One thing I do know is I don't think any credible people would have their hair cut by Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M.
With him being in the ever-growing berber toupee business, where it's actually nylon, the ever-growing merkins that are actually nylon, not berber, and those ever-growing berber face masks that are actually nylon and are supposed to suffocate the liberals, he isn't really exercising his New Jersey cosmetology license these days.
Well, that's true. He has one loyal client.
That's right. There's one person, thing. He still does a 5-plug trim on. Yeah, that's what it was. 5 hair plugs descending into, what do you call it?
Madness?
Oh, good choice of words.
Oh my god, I know who you're talking about!
That's right. Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M only does one thing's hair.
Rats! We just lost all the conservative listeners!
Oh, I wouldn't worry about them. Most of them are sick of him too.
But should we be breaking this story here? Causing more rumors?
I am telling you, there's no way any sane individual would pay for hairstyling that bad.
Well, then what is going on here?
Well, can you subpoena Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M? Ask him if he really charged that thing over $70,000.
Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M is hard to target, and a very hard target to track down. I spent the better part of last year tracking him down, and then I did the whole shirtless dreidel game to win back the soldier's genital he was holding hostage. That's episode 89 in the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube.
Do you think history is repeating itself? Like the same thing is happening again?
What do you mean?
Well, first, Remus Helms came in here on episode 115 on the Karl Gerber with the K channel on YouTube, and he said the cells from his genital that Dr. D was cloning escaped from her lab.
Yeah, but he hired a bounty hunter who put him in contact with a Mexican jumping bean expert on episode 116, and everything fell into place when the jumping bean expert disclosed he found trees of around Sun Valley, California that looked like Mexican jumping bean trees, but instead there were tiny genitals inside, presumably jumping around.
Oh, Oh, you believe that?
It was a rather simple explanation.
I think there's more to the tax return than meets the eye.
What do you mean?
Don't you find it a tiny bit coincidental that more than $70,000 was written off for the hairdressing services of Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting but spelled M&M? The tax return was of a non-taxpayer who arguably has some of the worst hair in this country.
Yeah.
But he needs excessive water to wash his hair. And on episode 63 of this show on the Karl Gerber with the K channel on YouTube, Remus Helms came on and talked about how there were a series of tiny earthquakes around Fontana, California warehouse where excess liquids were seeping into the water tables and the sex robots were actually procreating. Do you see the connection?
Maybe the guy tying up the big White House is using sex robots?
And there's that rumor she's not a she, but she's a he who was a he.
She's a sex robot.
She is, but even she gave up.
Because of that hair.
Well, that's the least of it.
All those bad policies?
Oh, I'm feeling really sick right now.
Yeah, I'm with you a little. Well, I'm a little more than a little nauseous.
Oh, gross. The thought of those two.
Doing it when they were both infected with COVID?
Well, she's a sex robot and he has the nation's worst hair.
Well, then the excess fluids causing the tiny earthquakes in the Inland Empire are from her because she's a sex robot.
Don't you see? He's a robot too.
And Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, has been pulling the strings since early 2017.
That's right.
I can only blame the diabolicacy of Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, for all the racism, rejection of science, hatred, divisiveness, attacks on the poor, the virus for the elderly and minorities.
So are we on air yet?
Oh, we've been on air since a little after midnight.
Oh, well, do you think anybody's listening?
Nah, just like maybe 10,000 in Southern California, and then, I don't know, like another 20, 30,000 on the internet the next couple of weeks. Oh boy, the stuff that comes through here at midnight in the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. All right, you can call me about a real workplace case, 877-525-0700. The Employment Lawyers Group has offices throughout Southern California. Please contact us. We are a real law firm and take real cases. You need to have been fired from your job. If you're owed wages, 877-525-0700. Sexual harassment, 877-525-0700. Please catch up all the old episodes of the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on the Karl Gerber with the K channel on YouTube. Next week at the same time in the same place for more workplace abuse.
The Employment Lawyers Group has successfully represented employees in wrongful termination, sexual harassment, employment discrimination, and unpaid wage lawsuits, including class actions. They are only paid when and if money is collected from the employer. Call 877-525-0700 during the week for an experienced job lawyer. 877-525-0700.